Hello and welcome to Addition and Subtraction. My name is Jody Daniels and today we'll talk about the different ways you can look at addition and the different ways you can look at subtraction and also what number sentences look like and how to solve them. So let's get started. First we'll take a look at addition. Some of the key words you'll hear with addition problems are simply add, also the word plus or plus sign. Here is what the plus sign looks like. Also the word and the word more, depending on what kind of a sentence it is. There are two different types of sentences or story problems you'll hear that you would change into an addition problem. One of them is to combine and the other is to bring in more. So we'll talk about both of those in a little detail. First of all, to combine usually means that there's going to be two amounts. So for example, I might have two red fish in the pond and I might have two blue fish in the pond, and I might be asked how many fish are there all together now. So that would be combining two amounts together, red fish plus the blue fish. So of course, as I would with any addition problem, I'm going to add the two amounts together, either by counting up, I already know I have 2, 3, 4, or counting right from the beginning all of the amounts that I have, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is an example of combining. And now let's talk about the other way you'll hear an addition problem, which would be to bring in more. So to bring in more, what I might have is two birds in a tree, and then two birds join those two birds in the tree. So I had a starting amount of two birds in the tree, and then two more join them. So that is an example of bringing in more versus just combining the two amounts together. So the key word when I'm combining two amounts, you'll hear and the key word you'll hear with bringing in more is, of course, the word more. So let's just do a couple more of these to really explore it. I have 3 blue fish in the pond, and I have 1 red fish. How many fish do I have all together? That would be a combining. So you heard me say the word and all together I have, of course, 3 and 1 more, which is 4. And then one more time on bringing in more, I have 3 friends playing in the park, and 1 more comes and joins them. How many do I have all together, or how many do I have now? So I'm going to add that 1 more in. 1, 2, 3, 4 friends all together. So that is adding using either a combining two amounts scenario or a bringing in more scenario. Now let's take a look at subtraction. In subtraction, the common, probably most common two scenarios would be taking away from a starting amount or finding the difference between two amounts. So we'll take a look at both of those. One of the keywords in subtraction is, of course, subtract, and then minus, you will hear said in a subtraction problem, and then, of course, there's the minus symbol. So let's start by taking away from a starting amount, and the key word for that is going to be less. So I'm going to have a starting amount. And this is going to look different than the addition. My starting amount is 4, and then I'm going to take away 2 from that amount. So instead of bringing in, of course, 2 more as I would in addition, I am just going to move 2 out of the way, and I like to, when I'm solving these kinds of problems, leave them visible so I can double check my problem. So I had 4 originally, and then 2 went away, leaving me with 2. And that is the how many are left scenario there. Okay, so that is the taking away or the less scenario. And then there is the difference between, you might hear someone say, oh, the Rockies had 2 home runs and the Cubs had 4 home runs. How many more home runs did the Cubs have than the Rockies? So what I might want to do in that case is move the 2 over to find the difference. What I'm really doing is I'm saying 4 take away 2, and that is the difference between the 2 amounts. So that's another way you might have to do a subtraction problem. Now let's take a look at number sentences and how they look and how you read them and how you can solve them. With number sentences, I like to think of the number sentence having 2 important parts to it in order to solve it. The first important part is the starting number, and you want to look at that by itself. And then together you want to look at the next section, which is the symbol, so you know what you are doing to the starting number, and then of course the number following the symbol, which is going to be how much you're going to do to the starting number. So let's go ahead and take a look at this number sentence that we have here. Of course, we would not have the answer yet, so we're going to leave that blank at the moment. This is how you would most commonly see a number problem. And I'm going to go ahead and again focus right on my starting number to begin with, and that is 4. And now, as I said before, I'm going to look at both of these together, what I'm doing and how many I'm doing. So in this case, I am adding, bringing in, and the number is 4 more. So that is my second step, plus 4. So I'm going to bring in 4 more. And then, of course, to solve my problem, I'm going to count up how many I have to give me my answer. Of course, I can either count on. Counting on is when you already know your starting number, and you just count on from there. In this case, I would say 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or if I'm not confident with my starting number and I just want to go ahead and count them all, that is perfectly fine as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My answer is, of course, 8 to solve this number sentence. So taking a look at a subtraction number sentence now, again, in 2 parts. Any kind of number sentence, that's how you want to look at it. My first part being, of course, the starting number. And then the second part being the action that's going to happen, the symbol there, am I adding or am I taking away, and how many. So I want to look at this first, and then at this. So let's go ahead and start with our starting number, as we always want to do. And so I have my 4 here to match my starting number 4. Next thing is going to be my action that happens. I am taking away 2. So again, I like to keep it on screen somewhere where I can see it, so I know that I have done my action correctly to what I'm seeing. So I had 4 originally, I took away 2, and now what is left? Oh, and I do need to move this out of the way. Oops. Okay, and now we're going to take a look at a subtraction number sentence problem. So once again, we're going to look at the 2 parts to it. First being the starting number, so I have the number 4, that is my starting number, and then the second part being the action and how many that happens. So I look at the 4 and I look at the minus 2. So in this case, my starting number is 4, so let's go ahead and take care of step 1, which is our starting number. And now my action is to take away how many? 2. So again, it's best to look at those two pieces together as one action. So I'm going to take away 2. Let's just move them out of the way over here so I don't count them what I have left. But I can still see them, so I know that I followed the directions. And my remaining number is, of course, 2, because that's what I have left after I have taken away 2 from 4. So that is how you read and solve a number sentence. In our next session, we'll be exploring story problems and practicing solving them. And we'll be using some just with manipulatives to solve them, and then we will also create some number sentences based on our story problem. So we'll see you next time. Thank you.